Hello. Humans, animals, anything else that might be watching even. This is my video. As I talked about before, things to look out for when you buy a Horsebox. Now, my view is based purely on the fact I've got this Horsebox. It's the only Horsebox I've ever owned. There's a lot of talk online about different things about Horseboxes. I've experienced some of those things. I haven't experienced some of the other things, but we can talk about them all. Yeah, but you know, if there's any problems, on my advice, it's not my responsibility, okay? But yeah, where should we start? Where do we start? So I suppose we could start on the roof. One of the things, sun's in my eyes there a little bit, not in my eyes, but one of the things, roof up there. So on this one, got a fiberglass roof, and a lot of that is original. And what's happened over the years, I don't know whether it's just the weather, I don't know what happened, I don't know anything about fiberglass, the scientific effects of fiberglass or anything like that at all, but what's happened is it's stretched. So on the top it's very rippled in places and water pools up, which is fine because it's fiberglass, waterproof, but it is old. So at some point that I'm going to have to replace that at some point, because I can imagine it's going to start leaking. On the front of mine there has been a repair from like the door forwards, so yeah, that's worth noting. Have a look at the roof construction, because you never know what you're getting yourself into there, to be honest. It's difficult obviously because you're down here and the roof's up there. Maybe take a ladder with you, I don't know, but that's up to you guys. I'm still wearing my mic look. Hey, I'm very pleased with myself with this mic. The other thing is, up along this ridge, I don't know if I can get anywhere near it. Let's climb the ladder a little bit. Motherfucker, nearly fell off. So along this ridge here, that's the solar panel, but here, but this bit, that bit, really on there you need a gutter, because what happens is when it rains, if you're parked slightly on the piss, water is literally just running down here. Now somebody's had the forethought to put a gutter on this bit, which is great. The downside is with this, when it's raining and you go to get in the driver's side, the gutter, the water's coming out right where you're getting in. So yeah, if you haven't got a gutter there, I highly advise it. And I'll tell you another reason why. Bloody dog. I'm trying to get the camera in a position so you can see the windows behind me, can't you? But they're just basic, they're not double glazed, they're just basic. What happens is water runs down the side, gets into that frame, and it just goes around that frame. Obviously you can seal it, but as we all know from experience, sealants don't last forever. And if the truck hasn't been maintained, you're going to get water ingress there. Which leads me on to another point in a second. So yeah, that's worth looking at. Look around the seals of the windows, and look to see if there's a gutter, because I can highly advise putting one of them up. I put a gutter above my door for now, because water was just coming down and coming straight in, and it was just running down the inside of the door, which was not much fun, considering I bought this truck a few days before those series of storms we had at the end of the winter. So yeah, there's a lot of water ingress for me, especially as these windows, and I have heard a rumour that when they build these trucks they don't seal these windows at all. So there's a chance that potentially it's been like that for years and you'll be getting water in for years. So yeah, these windows have never been sealed. You can just tell that there's just nothing, nobody's made any effort whatsoever ever to seal them up. The problem that comes from that, and this is the next thing, I would advise, if you're going to buy a Horsebox, to buy one with an aluminium box as opposed to what I've got. Now what I've got is this here, which you can see I've been trying to clear off the stickers. It's got the old sponsor stickers on here still, so I've been trying to scrub them off, which is actually quite hard work without the proper stuff, but we are in lockdown. But yeah, so on the outside of this truck, this here is some sort of like a weird plastic. Just inside of that, it's only a few mil thick, just inside of that is a plywood, and then on the inside of the truck there is a skin on that plywood of, it might be plastic, I think it could be aluminium. I haven't looked into it that much. Problem with that is these windows that you get here with the water ingress, it sits inside, because you've got two waterproof faces as such. Plastic here, aluminium on the inside, so the water just sits inside. The downside to that is, because these windows have never been sealed over the years, loads of water's got in here, and in a few places on this truck in particular, especially that window up here, I don't know if you can see that there, the wall's fucked basically. So I've had to rebuild. So I've rebuilt the inside. Rather, somebody did say to me, just take the whole side of this truck off and do it. But obviously I'm living in it, that's not possible. So what I have done is I've fixed most of the leaks. Haven't sealed the windows yet. I have got some stuff to put a gutter up there. But I have rebuilt it on the inside, so it's strong. It's a good strong, because before, especially this area here, it was really like, it was just like, fuck, how did I not notice that when I bought it? I'll just say one thing. Got these problems with the truck. I love this truck. I genuinely love this truck. Don't regret for a second buying this vehicle in any way, shape or form. I did pay very little money for it, so I'm never expected anything perfect. Like I say, this is just a video. So yeah, my advice would be always try and buy a box with an aluminium body or a steel body. You know, you see them about where it's just a steel frame with a aluminium face on it basically, or an aluminium is on the inside of the frame. That's the way I would go forward with that. You've got lots of other things to think about. Obviously it's going to be your home. I've got problems up here, all on these corners, and all these joints here were basically all leaking. Everything was leaking on all the corners everywhere, and up here as well it was all leaking, all on this bit going up. So I've sort of had to clean them out. It's all full of moss, just been left for years. So I've rebuilt all that inside. Leaks are being sorted. I've got to replace some of this under here. So yeah, it's worth just going over it with a fine tooth comb. At the end of the day, I did do another video, and it's like buy a vehicle with your heart, because you're going to spend a lot of time in it. So if you do buy one like mine with the old plywood sides and everything, just check and double check and just allow for these silly little things. Obviously you've got your standard stuff on the cab, yeah, when it comes to rust, bodywork rust and all that sort of stuff, but that's normal with a vehicle. Something because this is an older vehicle, something that caused me a problem immediately, and it didn't even occur to me, is I'll just get down here, this bit here, I've cut this out, it looks rough as old boots, but I've got a little thing that I'm going to make a door, a new door, but this was a lot smaller. It came out here and here. It was a lot smaller, and it only came down to about here. The problem with that is, with these modern day petrol pumps, is they don't fit. So the fuel tank, I'll show you again. Can you see the fuel tank? So the fuel tank's in there. That happens a lot. It's bolted to the chassis, so you kind of got to reach in and try and grab it. Yeah. So what I was having to do is get on my hands and knees, go up under the bodywork, and sort of go up, just kind of go up and then in like that. So that's worth having a note, because that would be another job you probably want to do immediately, especially if some of you, there's a lot of you that live together as couples and stuff like that, and I'm sure you don't want your lady on her hands and knees in a petrol station, because there's shit all on the floor in petrol stations and everything else. Yeah. What else to look out for? Electrics. So the truck, Horseboxes notoriously spend a lot of time stood about, so it's worth checking all the electrics. A lot of the time they just get dirty, but sometimes, you know, you might get little mice or rats or something in there chewing the wires, so it's worth checking that everything's working. When I bought this truck, I had 2 lights not working on the back. I pulled them open, put new bulbs in, still not working. I'm like, oh no, it's like cables. I'm like, sod it, right. So I got underneath the truck, and underneath here, it's a bit of a minefield on that back end when it comes to wiring. And I was like, shit. And then I did notice when I had one of the lenses off, that inside it was just filthy, you know, full of dust and crap and cobwebs, all that sort of stuff. So I just cleaned it out, cleaned the connectors, put a bulb in, worked a treat. So I was quite lucky there that I didn't have to redo all the wiring, because that might have been quite interesting. Something else that people talk about, this one I think is a myth. It's not a myth, it depends on how clean the truck is inside, but the smell. A lot of people talk about the smell in horse trucks. I haven't had a horsey piss smell in this horse truck at all, apart from one of the corners, and it hadn't been cleaned out. So where the horses had just been doing their stuff, there had just been a little build up of crud in one of the corners behind the kitchen. I cleaned all that out, scraped all that off, scrubbed the rubber floor down, no problem at all. And then they talk a lot of people also talk about, oh, when you get a horse box you've got to replace the floor. That's not true either, because a lot of horse boxes, this is my personal experience, so you know, I know some of you have had horse boxes, and you know, all sorts of problems occur. But in my, you know, it's my experience, and I know somebody else with a horse box that didn't have this problem. The floor in mine was perfect. It was like, yeah, it was just perfect, absolutely rock solid. So I've done nothing on the floor in this one at all. Yeah, then you got the fact that it's an HGV, so there's things to look out for. The other thing as well with the electrics and everything else is when you move up to HGV, you've got to worry about VOSA, because VOSA will be on your back if everything's not running right. So if you've got a side light out, VOSA will probably fine you. From my understanding is is it VOSA or is it DVSA, Driving Vehicle Standards Agency? Somebody anyway is in charge. You can see them at the side of the road pulling over lots of lorries. Just make sure everything all the time is working on your truck, because if you're caught and it's not working, you're in more trouble than what you would be if you were in your transit van, for example. You've got the obvious rust underneath. This is an old truck, so but this chassis is really good. I'm quite lucky in respect to everything, you know, box aside. This truck's quite a good truck for its age. What else is there to think about? Steps. This step. So I got an aluminium step, and it just hooks on there, which is great. You look at it, fucking brilliant, absolutely brilliant. The problem I have with that is a bit comical. It's not really a problem. I could solve it, I'm sure. But when I'm walking around, the truck obviously just moves a little bit because it's on springs or whatever. This ladder just rattles like crazy sometimes, and and even so, on a particularly windy day, it could be windy, and all I can hear is because the bloody ladder's rattling. So that's an interesting one. But yeah, check the roof. I would advise putting gutters on, because the windows aren't very good. These are cheap, nasty windows on all horse boxes. They're nothing special. They're just an aluminium frame with some glass chucked in it. So they're never anything special. And like I say, there's a rumour that when they build them, they never seal them up. I'm sure there was something else I wanted to talk about. Yeah, bodywork. Like I say, this had lots of leaks, and there's a lot of these horsey stuff that's on the side of the truck I'm never going to take off, because they've sort of rusted and seized in place. Let's have a walk about. Yeah, just make sure your lights and everything are good. Oh, there is a gutter up on the back. Look, I never noticed that, which is weird, because it's the last place you'd want one, really, I suppose. Yeah, I'm thinking I'm kind of there, really, to be honest, guys. Yeah, one other thing I wanted to point out, actually. Now, I know a few people that have got horse boxes, and they've got the bed up the top in the Luton, which is the obvious place for it to go. It makes total sense. And a lot of them, what they have, something you need to be aware of, a lot of them, what they have here is they'll have a flap here where it flaps forward. They need to get to the engine, and the cab can tilt. The problem with that is you then can't seal and waterproof that for your bed area, so that's something to be aware of. This one, however, is all fixed. All this is fixed and sealed, solid, not going anywhere. The problem with that, so you've got sort of problem whichever direction you go. Problem with that, my only access to the engine it's not going to work, bear with me. That is my only access to the engine. Good, isn't it? I pity the poor guy that's going to have to get in there and fix that, because I'll tell you one thing, it's not going to be me. So yeah, that's kind of a lot of the basics when it comes to buying a horse box. Just got to watch, like a lot of that ply is rotting around, and where it leaks through here, where the sealant through this little thing here has just gone, so the water's gone in behind it, got in the ply, and a lot of the ply, especially on this side, all that ply down there where you get through to the petrol tank, diesel tank even, is gone. So I need to replace all that, but I'm just going to replace that with Galf steel. I'm going to go to Cladco down the road and just get them to cut some for me to size and just bolt it straight on. Yeah, I think that's about it. Like I say, it's a light-hearted video. Don't take my word as gospel, which I'm probably sure you probably don't anyway, if I'm honest. And if you do, yeah, if you do, but yeah, there you go. Anyway, that is my video on the ideas of buying a Horsebox. Everything else that you would need to know, you would take into consideration anyway when you're buying another vehicle. But I would highly recommend an aluminium box or a steel box on the back, as opposed to what I've got with the plywood sides. They haven't just maintained the windows or done anything, so it's all a bit iffy. But I love the truck, absolutely love it. So all these problems, this isn't me moaning, this isn't me groaning or anything like that at all. I properly love this truck, but I am acutely aware that I have a lot of work to do inside still. Next video, maybe, I'm always going to say maybe because I don't always do it, will probably be about how I've made the back of the truck. I've made a bench seat in the back of the truck. And yeah, it kind of reminds me a bit of a prison cell. Interesting. Anyway, I'm going to bugger off. Take care, folks. Thank you for watching. Thank you for just, the lovely comments. It's awesome. I like it. I like making videos. I'm quite enjoying myself, especially during this lockdown. You're the only people I talk to a lot of the time. So yeah, take care, folks.